Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer. A little bit later than normal, but this week, it's still Wednesday. You'll notice I have once again sequestered myself in a bunker, as once again we are going to talk about some dwarves a little bit. And anytime I throw shade at the stunties, I've got to hide because those little buggers are going to come right after me and start tunneling. So I've got to retreat to a hidden location so they can't find me. They know I've got all their Urgold, and I'm keeping it.
Dead manling.
Joining me, as always, is my co-host. It is the Auric Rune Father himself. It's Tom. How you doing?
Welcome to Warhammer Late Night.
That's right. It's Warhammer After Dark. Also joining us this week, it is in voice and spirit, and I think that's actually probably better, Dave, because people will recognize you from your very distinct voice. As Dave is, of course, the host of the extremely awesome podcast Garagehammer. How you doing, Dave?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We are thrilled to have you on the show. We've been trying to build more bridges between the YouTube and the podcast community. That is one of our 2016 resolutions, and look, here we are, sticking to it. So we're very excited.
I'm sorry, I was in the restroom. The master engineer threw the microphone at me. I don't know what you said, but it must have been something anti-dwarf because he was really annoyed. Threw the mic, he said something about stupid manlings and walked out. So I'm assuming you had something not so nice to say about Fyreslayers or something.
My hatred of the stunties is well known. I find them to be a race that we don't really need anymore, and yet somehow they keep clinging on, as is their tenacious nature. So there you go.
Okay, see, you know what, and you know, A, it is your show, and B, you have a right to be as wrong as you want to be. So.
Yep. I like it. Well, don't worry. That means at least 2 out of the 3 people on this show right now are like dwarves, so that's all right. I just have to be here to keep a balanced opinion toward the short boat. That's what it is. All right, so let's get right away into the news. So, Tom, what have we got this week?
Actually, we don't have a whole lot. We're in an off cycle now. Everybody knows that. The big news that dropped this week, was it really all this week, or did we get glimpses of the book last week?
Yeah, it was really just this week. I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
It feels like we've had multiple waves of this information. So we found out that the Death Grand Alliance book is going to be dropping in the coming weeks for release on 2/20. So it should be up for pre-order, I guess, this weekend.
Yep.
Does that sound right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of surprising things about this book. Vince, do you have the picture of that cover?
I don't, because
Okay.
I'm on the road, sorry.
Awesome. Well, give me...
It's a big picture of Nagash.
That's actually exactly what it is.
Yes.
So it's...
Let's talk about that price, Tom. Let's get to the price.
But
Don't
really?
bury the headline.
Okay, here's the headline. It's like 13 euros, or
like,
like
isn't it, or something like that?
1650 US.
1650 US. David, what do you think about that price point on a GW product?
I think it's just as good as the Chaos one. I mean, it's a little shorter than the Chaos one, obviously, but then again, if you're reprinting a lot of War Scrolls that are available for free, you need to keep the price point low.
It's like a glorified Warhammer Visions.
I'm fine with it. I love it. Yes, more of these. Like, I bought that Chaos one, and I'll say it before I say it again. It smells wonderful. It smells like victory. Like, seriously, smell that Chaos book. Delicious.
I got mine right here, and it's great. It's got a little bit of extra fluff. It's got all the scrolls in one place. I mean, I printed all these out, but then they're in the book, and then you got to buy those little round stickers to put on the paper so it doesn't tear when you go around the metal rings. And no, it's all right here. I like it. I like my $30 Chaos book, and I'll like my 1650 Death book.
Now, it's 1650 because we're only getting 88 pages, which is 35 War Scrolls, and then 1 War Scroll battalion for the Legion of Death. And then out of those 35 War Scrolls, they're saying there's 8 sub-factions: the Death Lords, the Blood-Craving Soul Blights, the Death Mages, the Death Rattle Legion, the Flesh Eater Courts, the Beasts of the Grave, and the Spectral Night Haunts. It looks like out of all of that, we are losing Tomb Kings. I mean, that's the long and the short of it is like if you go into the Vampire Counts like PDF, you take out all the named characters except for the Mortarks and Nagash, you're at like 34, 35 scrolls. That's it. And rumor came down the pipeline today that that just like the Hell Cannon and the Forsaken went up on the chopping block last week, or was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
Over the past couple weeks.
Over the past couple weeks, yeah. So too, the Tomb Kings this Saturday will go up on the Last Chance Divide. Yeah. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, David, I would take first crack at this one. The retiring of the Tomb Kings line.
That kind of pisses me off. I just got a bunch of it for Christmas. Like, I really thought they were listed as the death thing. I was like I bought a bunch so that they could supplement my VC army because I've always liked the Tomb Kings. I've always had them. I sold off some of them. I got a few things that I really thought I needed to supplement my VC army as the death faction. I mean, it's not. Is it really a Grand Alliance if it's just the old VC army
without most of the special characters, without all the named vampires?
I mean, because now it's Grand Alliance Nagash, isn't it? I mean,
I think the Mortarks. Yeah, that's basically it.
But they just work for Nagash. That's.
Look, he's a big dude. He's in charge of a lot of stuff. There's probably a couple undead who run the accounts payable. You've got undead HR. Look, it's a big alliance, okay? They've got a lot of business to run up in there. They don't have time for weird Egyptian guys.
I've been pretty positive about a lot of the AOS stuff, and I try to stay pretty positive, but I swear I didn't think they were going to dump an entire line. Like, why wouldn't you just bring them along? I mean...
Well, to their credit, a lot of their lines are dated, okay? Like the actual skeleton undead stuff largely is dated. The exception to this might be the Tomb Guard. And other than that, the most up-to-date, nice-looking stuff are all of your reanimates, which don't fit the actual thrust of death right now, at least. So go ahead.
Go ahead. I've got a thing here real quick.
Yeah, like this is all I would say. I said it last week. I'll say it again. I think we're going to see all of it relaunch with the return of Cetra.
Yep. Like, that stuff could still come back, and it could come back in a new and different way.
Yep.
Okay? Because the reality is, yeah, like, they could clear out a lot of the old model, relaunch of a new group of sub-factions, and they could stick them under light or something like that. Like, the Tomb Kings always had this weird association with light, with Petra, right?
Yep.
And, like... it could be very easy for them to end up in a different alliance, or like not death, because Nagash could just be the unmitigated master of death, right? And that's just his thing. And so the rest of the TK could end up as non-death aligned undead.
Where would you put them?
Well, either like Cetra as an agent of chaos, because he did accept the gift of chaos.
But they put out that whole chaos book, and then he's not there.
It's true.
And he's definitely not an agent of order, is he? So then would you put him with destruction?
Maybe.
Here's what I would say. Is Cetra not an agent of order? Is that true? Is Cetra the king of kings? The ultimate ruler? The dictator? The hawk of Chimeria? The man whose will is iron?
But he doesn't. Cetra doesn't work with anybody else.
Cetra doesn't kneel.
Cetra doesn't kneel, exactly. So he doesn't bow before Sigmar, but Sigmar isn't like the Order faction isn't like Death. Or like even the Chaos fights amongst themselves, right? There are different lords amongst Chaos. Well, before gods, and more rat.
Picture him more as I guess I always picture the Tomb Kings almost more like the ogres. They're like they just sort of do their thing, like they're there for them. They're in it for them. I would see them more in a destruction sort of.
Maybe. I mean, here's the deal. It's an empire.
Doesn't Order have enough?
Sure. Well, I'm just saying, look, we both agree. I think that, look, the point is they could stick them in Destruction or Order, and we could tell a good story around both of them.
Yeah.
And I would be fine with either, frankly.
They're out to subjugate. That's the deal. Right. Like, they're out to subjugate and bring order, everything under the rule of Cetra. So, in light of that, like, I could see them dropping in Order, even in the realm of light. Like, that's totally viable, I think, at this point.
I say just having him come back after they did that big to-do at the end of that first book of Nagash, and then and then he disappeared. Yeah. I think having him come back would just be awesome.
It would be it would be amazing. And like, let's get a new model for him too. BT Dubs. Yeah. Oh my God! Like, I would take my money. I just show up throwing cash at the door of the game store until they opened it.
And now they could have a real strong reason for the reanimants, because what he does is that Cetra rolls back in with the reanimants as a way to kind of counter Nagash's control over death.
You can't animate stone. That's what Mom always said. She was very wise in the ways of necromancy. My mom.
Awesome. The other thing that I saw, by the way, that brings hope to me that they may return TK even into the Death faction, is that on the abstract that's going in the White Dwarf, and at the end of the first paragraph it says, Grand Alliance Death brings 8 more factions to life, well, undeath, as well as the great necromancer's many servants arise at the dawn of the Age of Sigmar. And so they're calling out specifically that this book is about what is happening at the beginning of the Age of Sigmar. And so I would not be surprised if we, in a year, have a narrative event, one of those books come rolling out where the Tomb Kings return. And I talked about this a week or two ago. And Cetra comes rolling back out, and they relaunch. I mean, people only paid $16 for this. Again, this is like the price of a Warhammer Visions art book. And they relaunch either an expanded, like a Volume 2 Death Alliance, or they launch like a revised, revised and expanded Death Alliance.
Sure. Yeah, they could do it like they're doing in 40K with the story narrative books, right? Like the recent Tau release where you had the storybook that had the extra units in it and stuff. And I would be totally fine with that. At this price point, I don't feel like I overcommitted. I'm not buying a $64 hardback that I expect to be good forever. I'm buying a $16 softback that I would love to have a second book for, a companion piece.
Yep. So yeah, so that's the main news this week. We had a 40K kind of come down. There's a rumor that the end times for 40K is coming again, but this one actually had some details, potentially that it's not going to say like the end times is the name. It's going to have some other name associated with it, and it's going to have there's actually going to be some significant changes with the game system, more so than the fluff.
Ranked up.
Well,
that would be the most amazing change ever if, like, suddenly all the Space Marines fit in, like, the Lord of the Rings trays and had to walk around together.
Well,
that would be my greatest day in history.
That would be hilarious. But it's that formation. That the talk is that play will be shaped around formations, and the point system itself will be gone.
Wow, you're gonna see some angry people.
Oh, there's. Oh
boy. Yeah, you should read that. If you want to get depressed in humanity, go read the comments for this little thread, like on Fayette where it was originally posted. It is just a scroll. Like, go into any gas station bathroom in Middle America, and I promise you, whatever has been etched into the walls using a rusty switchblade is less offensive than what was written under the comments on this posting. My God.
I get people's anger. I get people not wanting their game system to change that much. I get it. I do. I also get that I've come around to kind of really enjoying the way that Age of Sigmar is set up, though. So I mean, I'm one of those guys who have no beef. So those guys that are angry, they get really angry with me because I'm just like, I'm sorry you don't like it. I'm having fun. I'm gonna go have more fun now. Bye.
Now, do you have
exactly?
Do you have any 40K armies?
I did buy at a super discount an orc army that I never quite got painted and put together. I never quite got 40K. Like, I could never quite figure it out, and I didn't have enough players around here to play with. Yep. But damn, those orcs are pretty awesome. Just all the crap that they just slap together. Like, I think one of the things that kept me away from 40K was first of all, I like the fantasy trope. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind the sci-fi. Like, I like the guys I like. It was just okay. You know, everyone's got like that point that there's like that point they don't want to cross, I guess. And for me, it was like looking at all the tanks and stuff on the table. It just looked like they were playing with like big toys at that point. And I kind of looked at that, and that was like I guess that was my geek threshold. I'm like, no, I'm not buying the big model tanks and pushing them forward like that. And now that was a while ago. Now I have no beef with it. Now that I've been playing long enough and my Nagash model is the size of a small child, now I don't have a problem. But when I first started playing, that was kind of what held me back. But then I looked at the orc stuff, and it's like, well, this is all cobbled together nonsense. I could play with that, no problem. So,
absolutely, man. Get some flash kits, some ludas. Is that still a thing? I don't know. It's been a long time since I played 40K, but I always loved them. The orcs were awesome to stare down.
So the final piece of information, by the way, about this release that I do want to mention, I'm going to jump back to the first one, is that in the actual some later leaked images were released of the individual factions and like subtitles for those individual factions. In the Death Rattle faction, the subtitle was Kingdoms of Dust and Legions of Bone. So there is a chance that we may actually end up seeing one or two kits show up in that Death Rattle with the stuff with Death. So like I could imagine us getting a Skeletal Archer box, like having to just bring the Skeletal Archer box in, because that's not in TK and that would supplement that. We'll see.
It's also fairly generic, unlike, say, a dude riding a giant animated stone snake.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I don't really have anything else. I think that's it this week.
There you go. It's a quiet week, but those are some big bomb items.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it's small in number but large in impact. All right. So with that, let's turn to let's turn to some hobby time, and then we'll go to our pick of the week. But let's start with some hobby time. So Dave, I've been following your progress on Twitter, so I know what you're working on. And by the way, if you're not following Dave on Twitter, what are you doing? Get on it.
Probably spending your time much better than they're spending their time better than you are, I think. But
there is no such thing as better than following Dave's progress on these posts. But go ahead. What have you been working on, bud?
I basically put my other progress aside and said I'm going to paint my Stormcast Eternals. I've decided to bite the bullet. I got 3 box sets. I didn't buy 3 box sets. I bought one. I traded up for the others, and then I picked up a couple. So I got 3 box sets, and I picked up a box of the Paladins, and I picked up a box of the Archers, and I've got the big guy around here somewhere. I haven't even opened him yet. I'm going to build all these other things first. And then I was watching the videos on YouTube that the guy from GW painting them.
Duncan.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, you know what? I can follow him, and because I actually like the way they look. I've never been that super creative when it comes to painting. Like I just kind of look how they look in the book, and say that looks good. I'll do something like that. I just follow that sort of a paint scheme. So when he went step by step, I said, okay, no, dude, I can follow that. And it's actually, I found it to be fascinating because, he actually does a lot of the steps that they give you in the little White Dwarf when they give you the steps.
Yep.
But when they give it to you and they show you a picture of the finished product, it doesn't always make sense because they're like, oh, I put this and then I put this wash and then I put this color back, and when he paints over it 99%, you can't tell that he painted it. I look at the picture, and go, no, I don't know what's there.
Right.
So watching him actually do it, I'm like, oh wait. So then I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to understand, I guess, how it works from watching the video and then doing it myself. So I'm having a blast. I've got the first unit of 30 some odd. Well, it's more than a unit, but about 30 of those Liberators, and I've gotten the gold all done after 3 or 4 steps, and now I'm on the blue. And once that major part's done, then I can get to all the mini bits, and it's starting to come together. I'm all excited.
Those guys are fun to paint, and what I love, by the way, when I was watching you factory paint in the exact same way I do, which is you go left to right and right to left or whatever. They migrate on your mat as you do the steps. That's the exact same way I factory paint. Everybody's over on the right, next step. Everybody's over on the left or whatever. I keep going back and forth, right?
I got them all piled up on the table, and that's what I do. I finish and I'm putting them over there so I can see that the progress is being made.
Yep. It's such a silly little thing, but as that pile grows on the finished side of that step, you're like, oh, I'm making progress. Look at that pile get bigger.
And it's funny because I'm always painting down here, and my kids will be down here watching TV or doing other stuff. And as that pile starts to grow, they know oh, Dad, you're almost done with that step, or you're almost done with these things, or what are you painting next? Because they could tell. They know when the pile on the left is really big, he's almost done with whatever he's doing. Are you going to take a break? Can we do this or that? Because I know you're almost done with that step. They know when to interrupt based on pile movement.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, so there you go. Hey, look, see, hobby hot tip from Garagehammer for you out there. When you're factory painting piles on the left and right, you're changing lives right now. I want you to know that.
Should do something, I guess.
All right, good stuff. Well, I look forward to watching that army continue to evolve, and I can't wait till you bust out Mr. Space Trash himself with the Celestin Prime, so that should be a lot of fun.
Well, from what I understand, listen to Facehammer, if you don't have that guy in your army, you're doing something wrong. Like, he's the key to getting stuff moving around, so I got to get him.
Winning?
He's pretty awesome. I'll give it to you. Although, I think the adjudicators or whatever, which you got a box of, like, you're going to use those guys, and you're going to be like, oh, my God. I love these dudes. They're pretty awesome. So, there you go. That's my feeling on it. I think the little archers might be my favorite guys. All right.
I'm probably going to need more of those because that's the only shooting that army's got. So
yeah, other than some little hammer throws, it's all about that shooting. And that dude with the big skybolt bow, oh, so much fun. So much fun. All right, Tom, I have a picture for your hobby time because I don't have any picture for the news, but of course Tom sends me a picture of what he's working on.
Sure.
All right, let's take a look. So, Tom, there you go. Your stunty revenge. These are the wrong dwarves, Tom.
No, they're good. No, they're exactly what I've been working on. So I'm over halfway done with my last month's pledge. I'm catching up. My goal was to be done by halfway through February, and I'm almost there. So, yeah, so that's where we're at.
You're looking nice, bro.
Thanks. Yeah,
your long beards, right?
Yeah, these are my long beards. I wanted something a little bit different, color scheme-wise. And so, like, I wanted more green in the army. And so it makes me sad that I only have 10 of these guys, because I think they add a nice splash of color to the army. So I still need to do the emblem on the, like, I just snapped a quick picture right before the show, so, like, the lighting's all bad on these guys. It's way too harsh and stuff like that. But I still need to do the symbol on the banner, but I'm going to have to do some freehand for that. So, but yeah, it's coming along good.
We just killed a bunch of these last night in my game. So there you go. When I was playing with Jeff Egan, and by killed a bunch of them, I mean killed like 2 or 3 of them and then lost the game. But look, let's not get into details. That's not relevant. It's fine.
Let's not bicker and argue over who killed who.
Exactly. All right, looking good. And I have been on the road like all week, so I have not got to do anything hobby related. I'm going through a hardcore case of withdrawal. I'm surfing eBay too much. I'm making bad choices.
There's no such thing.
When you're away from the painting table, you're like, you start to get the shakes. You got to get some kind of hobby in. You're like, I'll just buy more models. That's like hobbying, right? No, it's the opposite of doing it. That's the opposite of progress.
Hobbying. No, that totally counts.
Totally counts.
Yeah.
So yes, that's especially when I heard that Tomb Kings news, I was like, oh, time to start making sure I got that collect, because I've only got like in 8th edition terms like 14 or 15,000 points of Tomb Kings. I bet that's not near enough. We better get some more just in case.
I'll be honest. Like I went out when I did that, and I was like, well, I need to double check what I got. I found an additional like 30 skeletons in my bits box that I had actually like not included in that video that I just did. So I had another like full unit of skeletons, and another 10 or so Tomb Guard. But more than that, like I was like, you know what? I could probably use another like 30-some skeleton bodies just in case for a future undetermined project. I don't know what that's going to be yet for the Tomb Kings, some conversion project. And then I also picked up my Prince Apapas and High Queen Kalita. So
yeah, I better get my 4th and 5th High Queen Kalita before they're gone. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, like for those that are interested, pick them up now. I've already got mine because I can tell you right now that stuff is going to move. It'll be gone from the website if it truly does go to the last buy. I'll put money that most of those characters are gone by the beginning of next week. They will not see our next show.
All right, here we go. All right, so there you go. All right, so Dave shared a picture. We're going to show some of Dave's dwarves too. Let's do it. Here we go. So these are your hammers?
Those are the hammers I was working on. You can see the guy on the end there, on the left end, with the custom bases I was doing. I'll try to send you a picture of the custom bases as well. And that's when they were on square bases. So boy, was I sad when they moved, because it took me. I swear, I found a nice square mold of a rock base from was it Herstarts?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But the 20 mil bases, there's only one square, 20 mil square.
That's a lot of casting.
So I had to make like a dozen casts just to make them, and then I had to drill them out, and I put in little dwarf shields in them so that you could get the little dwarf faces in the stone. And I made a dozen of these things, and it took me almost a month to make a dozen of them, which I then cast those into molds, and then I used I forget what's the name of the place that I got them from, but I basically made those are actually hard plastic from I forget the name of the place, but I made hard plastic molds of all of those, and I cranked out like enough to make a whole set. I made like 40 or 50 of them, and once I'd finished the first set, then they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not doing those anymore." I was like, "Oh, you guys got to be kidding me." Yeah, there. I just sent you one where you can see the actual bases I made.
Oh, that's rough.
And I've got like 40 or 50 of these, and it's at this point I'm just like, oh. So now I'm looking around, and now I'm afraid to rebase them because they released the Fyreslayers on 32s.
Yeah, I would say don't rebase them. Like,
I found 25 mil rounds, and I'm looking for a 25 mil round mold to start making new custom bases. And if I make 25 mil rounds and they go and I swear they make them 32s, I'll just cry. I'm like, I can't do it again.
no,
First of all, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not saying between like squares and rounds. Like, one, you could just put the square thing onto the round mold, build it up with a little dirt around it, and it would actually look pretty awesome, I think. Like, if you used like Tyler Mengel's like basing thing, you could actually just snip the flats off the sides of the squares, mount the whole thing onto like a 32 round or a 25 round or whatever. They'd fit on a 25 round. Just do a little dirt on the side, little sand or whatever, and the little tiny rocks and grit. You'd be rock and roll. No need to change at all. Don't throw away that hard work.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Originally, the whole point was that they would all link up together and look like one solid, base of ground. That nice dwarf, like a stone road that they had built. Now on the round bases, I guess it doesn't matter as much because they're going to be separated anyway. But yeah, Vince, I sent you a picture of the bases too.
Absolutely. Let's grab that real quick. Here we go. All right. There you go. Look at that.
Wow. Those are sharp.
Yeah, those look great. Like, no joke. Those look amazing.
Yeah, so I made them out of dental stone, and then I got a regular drill, and I drilled the size of a dwarf shield out of the center. And then if they cracked, then I had to just make a new mold of a whole thing to get the one piece. Then I stuck the dwarf shield in, and then I clipped from the dwarf banners those little tiny dwarf faces off the sides of that were dangling.
Yep.
Those made up the 4 faces on each of those, and I had to make like a dozen of those just to make one mold. And it was just, it took me like a month. And then they're like, yeah, we're scrapping square bases.
Do not get rid of these. Put these onto 32 or 25 rounds, whatever looks better, whatever you like. Who cares? If you went to 25 and they put them out on 32s, who cares?
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm not for modeling for advantage. I'm going to get that out right away. Okay, but here's the deal. Those dwarfs came on 20 mil squares. Keep them on that. There's no reason not to. And technically, mechanically, it's going to be a better deal for you.
Well, like I haven't actually permanently stuck them to any of those yet. Like I wanted to finish painting them before putting them on there. So since nothing's permanent, I'm like, well, I'll finish. That's why I'm working on the Stormcasts because I'm sort of hedging my bets and waiting.
Franchised.
I'm waiting to see what they put everything out on that I already own that I've painted before I base it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I want to base it, however on whatever bases they release eventually. So.
I'm a madman when it comes to bases. I'm the wrong guy to talk to. I literally just, like, when I was basing up my Warriors of Chaos, my Tzeentch Warriors of Chaos, like, I put my Chaos Knights on the 75 mil ovals. I knew the Knights should be on 60, and I was like, that's not big enough for Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights bring the thunder. They go on 75s. Like, I'm putting Giants, I'm putting everybody on 120 ovals, just whatever I can grab. Any base in the Storm. Like, just the biggest, fattest, most ridiculous terrain stuff base I can get. I don't like. I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yes, he is not the right one to ask. That is certain.
Look, I like my troops to bring an entire battlefield's worth of terrain on their bases to the fight. That's all I'm saying.
Because you don't actually do terrain. And
correct.
So
I could play on a blank table. You wouldn't notice the difference.
It's true. It's true. Oh,
all right.
Thank you.
That's good stuff. So, but I am working on a nice secret project right now. That was almost finished before I left. I will be able to finish it this weekend. And but I already know, like, there was a step I did with it that I'm just not happy with, so I'm gonna have to go back and repaint that whole thing. But you know, conversions were demanded. Conversions shall be delivered. I assure you, you'll never see this thing coming that I'm making. I don't even know. I put it together, and I believe, Tom, didn't I send you a text with a picture? I sent him a picture of the thing I built after I converted it all together, and my text was, "What the hell did I just build?"
Yeah. Yep. It's true. Like, you got done with it, and you're like, I don't know what I just made, but I made something.
I made a thing. I don't know what it is yet. Could be many things, but I don't know what it is. So there you go. Good times. I'll throw pictures of that up this weekend. All right. So let's do some pick of the week. And this is where we share, you know, a video, an article, direct somebody to something that we thought was awesome that we checked out this week. Could be anything. So, Dave, have you got anything anywhere you want to send the viewers to go check out?
Wow. Okay. You know what? Honestly, I hate to say this because I know I sound more unprepared than anything, but I got nothing. I've been working all week, and I've just been kind of following this stuff on Twitter, the normal stuff. There's nothing that's popped up that's really been super fancy or caught my eye or grabbed me or anything like that. I was trying to find, some guy tweeted a picture of he painted his Slayers up, and they were like solid black, like they were burnt. Like basically, you know, the lava basing?
Yep.
He did that for his Slayer with white glowing eyes and red coming from all the deep parts of his muscles and stuff. And I was trying to find that guy because that thing was awesome. And I've been scrolling back, and I cannot find it. And that
well, if you find it, that's okay. I'll look too if you find, because I think I remember the one you're talking about. But if we find it, we'll throw a link up so that way people can go check that out. And if you're also curious as to how you might paint that type of a scheme, well, I just happen to have a hobby cheating video all about painting inner fire as well. So you can go check that out on my channel. There you go. It's just shameless self-promotion. All right, so Tom, what about you, bud? What have you watched or read or whatever this week?
I am always into shameless self-promotion. So I released another video this week for those that are interested.
Jesus. All right.
You started it.
It's true. I brought this on myself.
You did. About I'm launching a new series on the economics around the Warhammer hobby, particularly like the secondary market. And so the first video was talking about pricing. So like what price ranges look like on the secondary market and kind of walking through that. And I'm going to move from that on to buying and reselling and tips for saving and yada, yada, yada. So moving through that stuff. So the next video should drop this weekend.
Very good. Nice. I will point everybody toward something that just got announced either today or late last night. Friend of the show, Tyler Mengel, who we had on a little while ago, who runs an awesome blog with many, and who is just an absolutely stunning hobbyist, obviously, is doing his annual painting contest. And so you can submit, and there are 3 different categories. Large, small, well, not small, but like standard infantry size, I guess would be the right thing, large model, and unit. And so I will put the link down there below for that. You can submit your models or go check out all the amazing models that are going to be submitted. And so everybody go hit up Tyler's blog. As always, it is full of not only that sweet painting contest, but tons of good modeling advice, and it should definitely be something that everybody's checking out regularly. All right, so with that, I believe it is finally time to turn to our short, orange-haired friends. Oh, you Fyreslayers, the Seekers of the Urgold, the very angry stunties. And so tonight we're gonna do a couple rounds of good, bad, and ugly. Not all about the Fyreslayers, because they're a smaller faction. But I thought we'd start there, because we talked about them before they came out, but we never really haven't reviewed them since they came out, and we've had a little bit of time to digest. So, David, we're going to start off with you. In the Fyreslayer Force, here's how this works for our audience. We're going to give you our pick for good, bad, and ugly. And that can be interpreted however the chooser likes. Ugly could mean like ugly awesome. It could mean ugly the model. It could mean ugly what it does to the enemy. It could mean ugly whatever. Doesn't matter. It all means what you want it to mean. It's completely subjective. All the points are made up and don't really mean anything. There you go.
Nice.
So,
I see. I saw what you did there.
ah, yes. References to better shows than ours. That's usually what I try to sprinkle throughout. So, David, as you are the guest, you get the blessing and the curse of going first. So, what is your good, bad, and ugly pick for the Fyreslayers?
All three at once?
Well, you could do them in order, but yeah, all three, man.
All right, great googly moogly. I'm going with the good being the Magmadroth, the whole kit in general. Getting the Magmadroth where you can build, if you put the father or the son on the seat, you get both extra characters.
Mm-hmm.
Getting basically three characters, one on the dragon and two on foot. That's just, I mean, that's actually a pretty sweet deal. If you've got basically with two kits, you can have two guys riding and all your characters on foot at that point. So I thought that was pretty awesome. The bad, I'm going to be petty.
We encourage pettiness towards models on this show. Not toward people, but toward tiny plastic men. Apologies to any tiny plastic people watching, but we do encourage that form of pettiness. So please.
The Auric Rune Smiter.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with the shaved upper lip? Like, these guys don't shave, and he's got no mustache. Like, isn't that, like, against some sort of rules? First of all, it looks weird. It looks weird.
No,
like, this model and it pisses me off.
No, they did that intentionally. You know they did that intentionally. Like, it's a callback to the fact that the priesthood was founded by Chaos Dwarfs. Like, it's called out in the lore. And it looks that's how the Chaos Dwarf beards are.
Right, and I kind of get that, and I still don't like it, and I don't want... No, they're not Chaos Dwarfs. No. You're done. You're sorry. I know what you're... No. But, yeah, I mean, you don't shave your... You don't... No. The guy looks dumb. That just annoys me. I like the thing he's holding. I like the rest of these models. Dwarves don't shave. They don't do that. They don't do... And he's just... And it just looks odd. It looks really odd. Because he's got this weird expression on his face. And this funny upper lip. It just bugs me. It just bugs me.
I love that no one has pointed out that even the weapon he's wielding looks like an overturned butter churn to just tie right into his true Amish nature. So I think that that's secretly why they modeled his weapon to look like that.
Totally possible.
Mm-hmm. He can just flip that over, bam, just I shouldn't do that on video. He can just churn up some butter.
Whoa, green screen. Green screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it happen, YouTube universe.
If you want to call off the Skeksis head on top of his helmet too, we can do that. But I'll skip that. But and if we're gonna go with the ugly, I'm gonna go with just the fact that the really sweet synergies with all the characters, which is ugly in that it's awesome, and ugly in that there's 9 flipping characters in 3 units, which that's a good ugly and a bad ugly. You better have synergies when you've got 9 characters and 3 units. Better have character synergy because, damn, I mean, there's literally 3 characters on the Magmadroth, 3 off the Magmadroth, then 3 other characters, and then you've got 3 units. I mean, I came home and I was like, wait a minute, I got 2 boxes of them. This box makes 2 different things. This box makes 1. Then I got a Magmadroth, and then I got three mini clam boxes here. And that's literally everything they sell. I said I wanted one of everything, and I came up with 3 boxes and 3 clam boxes, and I was just like, whoa. Am I missing? I thought I left something at the store, and I'm like, nope, that's actually it.
Yeah, I don't think this is what anybody meant when they said hero hammer. Like, this is the best kind of hero hammer right here. Because, like you said, none of them are overpowered or anything like that. I don't look at them and go, oh, it's so broken, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just a bunch of fun, heroic dwarves running around stomping things.
Yep.
Right, and they really do mix well. Like I said, if you keep them close and keep them with that unit, they really do make the units really great.
Yep.
But once again, there's not a huge. I mean, they're obviously they're meant to be allied with other people because there's not a lot of variety.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good tip-off because that is going to be the next round of things we talk about in our good, bad, and ugly. Nice. That's a good tip. Good Chekhov's gun there. All right, Tom. What do you got for your good, bad, and ugly for the Fyreslayers?
Good, I would say. Mechanics-wise, they're just banging on all cylinders. I look through and I'm like, okay, I'm down. Like, I like what's going on here. I like, everything felt like it had good synergy, and I like the numbers. Like, looking down, like, their rend was a little bit weak, but overall, like, I liked what they were bringing to the table. Bad, like, how do you make a dwarf sub-faction with no siege?
Because they're the Slayer faction.
I don't care. Where is the axe-throwing Slayer machine? Like, from, like, the Gurnikson's axe hewer, like, the old Slayer, like, just something. I don't care what it is, something. And that missing, like a flame cannon would have fit really well with this faction. Like, there is a multitude of things, and just all of it was absent. So it was just a real curious, like, obviously they're going a different direction with this group, and I get it. But just even one siege thing just seems like it would have fit Dwarfy. So that was my bad, is that I felt like they were lacking at least 2 units. Another infantry, smaller cav unit, something maybe, and then the other one being a siege, some type of, like, flame cannon.
I can see that because they I mean, you could say, well, they're like Slayers, and Slayers just run into battle hoping to die, so you don't want big cannons and you don't want cav because they're just running in half naked expecting to die. But the fluff doesn't support the old Slayer theme.
Right.
They're a new. They came from that old world, but whatever they've translated into in this new era, that I'm, that whole, there's been a shame and I have to write a shame and I'm trying to die a death to negate that shame. That's not here anymore.
No,
so
it's not
here. You can give them that other thing again. So I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I just it's just like, fine, slap a cannon to a Magmadroth. Do that. I'm okay with that. Like, if you want him to just, like, walk around with a huge ash cannon on his back, I'm cool with that too. Okay? Or just have, like, an independent, like the salamanders from Lizardmen, just, like, poking like mini Magmadroths. I'm down with that too. But just, I don't know. So,
hey,
like,
you can fight with a 6-foot Kingdom Hearts weapon. You can give him a cannon.
It's true. No.
Oh my God! I hadn't even. How did I not make the Keyblade Kingdom Hearts connection until this exact moment? I'm sad at myself, frankly. I feel like I've let everybody down.
You should. Anyway, so that was my bad. My ugly was this. Come on, G-dubs. The sculpts, like, some of them are really good, and I'm really down with them. But the ones that I wanted to be good, the Volkite Berserkers, your 2 weapon guys, there are 4 poses, it looks like. And most of them are this. Like, there's no dynamic, it's not dynamic movement that they have in those models, it's awkward movement. It looks like the multi-part old goblins that people glued arms at weird directions.
I'm looking at the picture right now.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I don't know, they look like, they look like little dwarfs. I mean, the problem is they have little square bodies. What are you going to do? You can't pose them like witch elves or something and make them jump around.
No, it's absolutely true. But because they're, like, you can't pose the arms in different directions, you have, like, 1 of 4 or 5 options, like 1 of 4, I think, options, and one of them is, like, arms straight out like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work when you slap a shield, which is the other build of those guys, are like war picks and shields. When your shield isn't actually being a shield, it's like in these weird-ass positions. It just doesn't look right, and it doesn't look natural. And so, like, I was really disappointed because I wanted a nice block of, like, 2 weapon-wielding Slayers, and I just didn't get that. Like, I like the Hearthguard. I like the other 2 units, the Volkite the Berserkers and the other guys. Like I couldn't like. It just really disappointing. And if I buy them, I'm gonna have to like literally cut into the monopose plastic that I've been given, and try to rebuild like the musculature around the arms in order to actually have them in non-stupid poses.
With the Hearthguard, anybody who's got 2 hands on a weapon looks okay. It's
Yeah.
when you have 1 hand on a weapon, you go to those the Volkites.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, well, the one guy with both arms back, like sort of down and back behind him, sort of like with that come on pose.
Yeah.
And that works. But yeah, a lot of these poses, they're just awkward and unnatural. It's like you almost want to say, like, didn't you have somebody stand in front of you and strike a pose? Like, you could do that, dude. Just stand there and act like you're going to come at me, and I'll snap a picture of that with my camera and kind of base that on the thing. I mean, I know enough guys who do artwork where my brother-in-law knows Alex Ross, the comic book artist.
Yeah.
And every one of those people, like Superman, all the people you see that he does for that watercolor art he does, like those are legit real people. Like I've actually met and seen the guy who is Superman, and that's what he looks like. And so when he has stuff and he's not certain how it looks, he actually has that guy. Could you kind of stand like this for this so I can get that pose done? I mean, it makes sense. Hey, stand like this so it makes sense, because I saw that was my one hang up before I bought them, and they're dwarfs. I fell in love with them.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna, but I was trying at least for like 10 minutes to be objective, and I was talking to my buddy Roder, and I'm like, I like what they look, but some of these poses, man, I'm like, I want to see them in person, because I'm looking at these pictures, and the poses, man, I don't know.
Yeah, like the real big offender for me is the dude that's up and he has like an arm straight out and an arm up, and he's on his tiptoes. Both feet are on his tiptoes. Like, that is so offensive to me, because I don't even know what's going on there.
That's not, there's nothing natural about that pose.
There's nothing.
There is no way you got into that stance normally. Like, that didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. And
anyone following along at home, he's the guy in the center row on the right on page 64. He just looks dumb.
Exactly. And so I like, that's the ugly to me. Like, there's so much potential. I like the big hair. I like the helms. Like, I like all of that. I even don't mind the runes in the flesh, because you can paint those not as gold but as glowing, like power runes, you know, with their darker, like, tan skin. Like, it would look really nice. But not what we got. I don't know.
Fair enough. All right. I'll do mine quick, because they're pretty easy, and you guys have touched on some points. I actually picked the Volkite Berserkers as my good. I understand that, like, maybe the models aren't the best, but I think to me, all dwarves look alike. So, I mean, I don't, whatever, it's fine.
Racist.
I can't judge on the model. They all look like, I don't know. I don't know what to say to not be offensive to a fictional race. But, like, they all look dumb. That's what it is. But these look fine. These are the best looking stunties they've ever made. So that's good, I guess.
You're out of your damn mind.
But the Volkite Berserkers, like, rules-wise, are redonk. They're Killy Phoenix Guard. I mean, they're so amazing. They're just like mortal wound dealing Phoenix Guard.
And that's the most offensive thing to me. Let me just say that, by the way. Because they're so good and they look so terrible.
Yeah, like, they're brutal. Just brutality. And I love it. My bad is actually one of the particular magma droths, like the rune smither or smiter or whatever. Just because I hate every rule he has. The model kit is great. I love the dragon. Somebody posted, I don't remember, I think it was Lee Ashcroft posted that he took one of those magma droths and he added manticore wings, and he's going to use it for, like, his demonic mount for his Chaos Lord, which I love. I'm glad to see some of the dwarves' technology falling to chaos. That's always good. Like, the kit is amazing. Looks great. I do think it's fairly, like, it's whatever. It's fine as far as pricing for what you get out of it. I think it is worth it. That would be my take on it. I just hate that particular version's rules, because I feel like he has a bunch of duplicitous rules that don't work well. He has a bunch of things that, like, he sucks at attacking elite units, and that's what I want my monsters to be able to kill something besides, massive packs of Blood Reavers, which is really the only thing he's good for. If he fights any other monster, he's just going to get rickrolled. He has like no rend, crappy ability. All his mortal wound dealing things are pinned to rolling less than the number of models. He can damage his own troops. Like, he can spray fire on his own troops. No, thumbs down. I don't like that build. The other two are fine.
He hasn't taken too many wounds. I mean, he only has to roll less than the number of troops on one die. I mean,
yeah,
but if he's fighting a monster,
right, exactly. If he's fighting another monster, a character, small elite units of like 3 beaters.
Oh, that's true.
Right, like, and that's the real threat stuff. Like, everything in the Slayer army can handle 20 Blood Reavers. I don't need to bring out the monster to deal with that. All of these guys are gonna whack mass numbers of troops. Like, these dwarves are a small elite force that are already really good at handling handling mass troops. I was amazed. Like, there's so much stuff they've got to just melt enemy hordes, and I love that. I didn't need my big monster to also do that, right? Now, to be fair, the little pikey shooter flamey guys are really good at handling monsters, so that's nice. So they have the right tools. That's just it. I don't feel like this guy has a place. I don't know the force I would build where I'd use him. That particular build. And the ugly, I totally agree with you, Dave. My ugly pick right here, Auric Runemaster, Mr. Amish Beard. I'm sorry, Chaos Dwarves were dumb. They were never a real army, and this guy is continuing on with a failed legacy. So there you go. That's what I have to say. All right, for those of you who love Chaos Dwarves, more power to you. One of the great lovers of Chaos Dwarves is the co-host of this particular show, as Tom has a deep-seated love for them, and I get it. Some people love those dudes, and more power to you, but for me, they've just never appealed. And that mustacheless aesthetic, can't handle it. Also, I think his rules are junk too, so there you go.
Christopher, my original co-host, and I both loved the Chaos Dwarves. He has the army, and he's still got the big hat army.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's got the original big hats, and he loves them. They're fantastic.
I will say I did like the old Big Hat Armies version of the Bull Centaurs. I have a special place in my heart for that model. It's such goofy wonderfulness of its time. It's like early 90s modeling, just in perfect little example. It's a wonderful little model. So there you go.
Yep.
All right, so there you go. Did we get it wrong? By the way, James Squires of Star Mini Gaming in the Q&A, he used one of your quotes against me, Tom, which is "You're out of your damn mind," Tom, 2016, in response to my picks. So there you go.
Nice.
So did we pick right? Did we pick wrong? Agree or disagree? As always, leave it in the comments below. What are your picks for the Fyreslayers? What are your good, your bad, your ugly? Should somebody just get a green stuff mustache on that Runemaster, which I've seen multiple people on Twitter do, by the way, like show that they've green stuffed a mustache back on.
When I build mine, I'm considering it.
Make the right choice.
Embrace the Chaos Dwarf heritage.
Hashtag Runemaster mustache. There you go. That's what I'll say. All right. So let us turn to some good, bad, and ugly of another topic, which has to do with the Chaos book. You mentioned you had it right next to you, Dave. So obviously, as we all know from the Chaos book and from the coming Death book, we have what I'll call the smallification of the armies, right? The old armies, the 15 armies we knew, really, they're dead now. Like, we can still divide our troops that way because we still know what they are, and we still will always have those war scrolls. So there's nothing wrong with it. But it's clear that, like, going forward, the new world is this smallification of forces. These tiny, tight, compact, narratively focused forces. So, what I wanted to do was a sort of good, bad, and ugly of the smallification of armies. Like, we've got these 21 forces in Chaos, we've got 8 in Death, and assumingly this is just going to continue right down the line for the foreseeable future. So what's good, what's bad, and what's ugly about that? About this change, this new world we live in. All right, Dave, once again, guess what? You're the guest, so it's time, buddy. You're on the spot.
Hot seat. All right.
Hot seat.
What's good is, well, I like that they've decided to. You have 4 armies. I mean, you literally have now 4 armies. They're called Grand Alliances. The nice thing about it is you can pretty much. One of the things that I didn't really get to do before was say, I really like that model. I want to buy that model and just paint it and have it because I already have all this other hobby stuff that I'm trying to do, and I don't play that army. But now if I play that alliance, which let's be honest, I mean this this book has 158 war scrolls in it. If there's just something cool in there that comes out, I really want to paint that. You can usually just drop it in.
Yep.
With it may not match up synergy wise, but it gives you more opportunities. I think in the good, it gives you more opportunities to just sort of kind of buy and play what you want. If you're into the hobby gaming side of it, look, I really like this. I want to have it. I'm going to drop it in my army. It works. You can do that now, and I think that's great. The bad, well, I had 2 that came to mind when you had mentioned this, and one of them actually the last 2 I noticed. I didn't mind so much with the Fyreslayer book because I love dwarfs and I liked reading the fluff and stuff. And there was, a good 12 war scrolls, and I had 3 cool scenarios. But man, I paid that $50 for that Archaon book, and I got 3 war scrolls, and I got a bunch of fluff, but it was literally a $50 book for 3 war scrolls.
Yep.
If you like the fluff and I did, and it was interesting to read. But it really seemed like I was paying quite a lot of money for basically fluff. That seemed almost a little too small to me. At some point, I had to stop and be like, wait a minute, come on now. If you're going to have something that's going to be that minor, then to put it as a it just seemed like going in for a whole hardcover book for $50 for that. I mean, at what point do they just, how small gets too small to get its own book? I guess would be the ugly for me. I mean the bad, just because it seems like there's a lot of factions, and for someone who wants to get all these books and like I said, for the show I like to pick them up because I like to cover them and talk about them on the show. That gets expensive. I know you don't have to, but I like to, and it's almost getting to the point where I can't. I'm not certain about an ugly. I think part of the ugly, I guess if you're going kind of ugly, kind of cool, is just that you do now have that opportunity. Before I said the good is that you can kind of buy what you want and do what you want, and the ugly is you can really have these grand. I mean, you can do a grand alliance. You can play huge story games with your friends. You can pull out all sorts of stuff. I mean, remember if you ever play those games, you have 3 or 4 friends all bringing their different armies, and you had to come up with reasons. Try to make up a story why. Okay. And make sure, okay, you bring some good guys, and let's make sure we have a fair split so we can do this. Now it's like, okay, who's gonna bring chaos and who's gonna bring order, and you don't need a real reason as long as you got a few guys on chaos and a few guys on order. You can just bring whatever you want because they're all in the same darn book.
Yeah.
It makes for some pretty cool. Once again, as a guy who plays more hobby games than hardcore, tournament type gaming. It's just the storytelling aspect is just awesome at this point.
Agreed completely. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's solid, and I think you're absolutely right on all counts there. All right, Tom, what do you got? What's your good, bad, and ugly of the smallification?
Okay, good is I think in the long run it's going to give us a lot more flexibility on releases. I think that what we're going to see is we're going to get to see a lot of people had always wanted Cathay, and they'd always wanted Nippon, and they'd always wanted Kislev and stuff like that in 8th edition, Dogs of War, but that was just never going to happen in the way that it was structured because you had to have too much. It had to be too big. And now you can go for these sub-factions, you can go for these small ideas, and have more diversity under this larger umbrella. So in the long run, I think that it's going to make for a much richer opportunity for expansion that they can really go forever. That's point 1.
All right. What's your bad?
My bad is that if it continues to follow the way that some armies have for synergy, synergy is just not going to happen for some forces. And so, perfect example of this is Fyreslayers. Most of their stuff only works with other Fyreslayers. Command abilities, runic abilities, all that targets a Fyreslayer unit. So if you want to throw some Seraphon in there, if you want to throw some Stormcast in there, that's fine. They can just never be a target of those other abilities. The perfect example of this, the main offender that I want to say, like Orcs and Goblins. Go crack open the Greenskin book.
Oh my God, you in this? Okay, please. Yeah, for the 5th time on this show. Okay, let's get into this.
No. That's exactly it. Because like all the spell, like everything is so ghettoized. And I think if that development continues to move that way and targets so it would be different if a lot of that stuff targeted a destruction unit, but often it doesn't. And so you see this working well sometimes with some factions. Death is a perfect example of this. Death does this very well between Tomb Kings and VC. So much of what it targets is another Death caster, another Death unit, a Death rattle, which you find in both VC and Tomb Kings. Stuff like that. You don't see that in. You see that a little bit in Chaos. So Chaos does it pretty well, like a Chaos monster or other things like that, where it's crossing those divisions within the larger faction. But some forces, again, don't do that well, and that's what I would be concerned about. Is that the bad design is going to limit some of those factions and their synergy.
Here's what I'll say: that's not bad design, and I'm really on about this now. If you want to because here's the thing: John Talby in the Q&A asked this question. He said, if they're going to reduce the armies to 4, will players end up with all sorts of armies where you get the dwarf close fighters supported by elf mages and human artillery or whatever? What he's saying is you just end up with the best of the best, right? Yep. The old nightmare, old alliance system nightmare. And my answer is no.
There's no reason not to even pull from Chaos if you like the Hell Cannon even better.
Sure, but let's assume you're in some kind of whatever structure where you generally want to hang there. But my answer is no. And I think I have good reasons for that. One, what you're pointing out. The synergy is the cross balance to the functionality. Okay? It's 45-degree angle, Tom, and you know how this goes. On one hand, you have the synergy saying play more of the same stuff. Be linear in how you build. Okay? On the other hand, you have the modular nature of Slann or super powerful casters. Right? And so if you're gonna take a wizard, having a Slann is a really good caster to have. Yeah. So, my point is that it encourage you aren't going to see just that. If they opened it up and just said affect any order unit, then yeah, that's exactly what would happen. Anytime you're under any kind of restrictive building, and you weren't building.
But you do have some super factions. Some super factions have all the tools that you need, all the super tough melee, all the range you need with all the synergy. High Elves are a great example of this.
You know what? Then fine. And that's the other thing. The other reason I don't think you'll see this is because most of the armies already have these tools, and you just be supplementing minorly if this is what you're really after. But ultimately, why I think you won't see this is because who cares? Why? In the absence of points, okay? Yeah. You're gonna play. The reason to build your army is for the narrative thing that you want, for the models that you like, for the story of the force you want to put together. There's no points you're aiming at. You don't have to fit the best possible force in 2,500 points. You have to fit the best army you want in your budget.
Yep.
Right? And so collect the models you want, because the reality is they're all pretty good. And even if you buy a bunch of quote-unquote bad ones, fine. Just tell your friends you're playing with crap models. Do you have a force that looks like this? I like these crap models. Do you have some crap models? Let's play a game where we fight, where we sissy slap each other. Awesome. So there's just no reason. There's no reason.
I don't know. I just what I don't like is I don't like the unbalance between the design of the different. Again, some factions play really well together. Some don't. Some factions don't. And so if you're going to go one way, awesome. But don't do it with some and not with others. And that's what I have the problem with.
I will say I don't see as much of a problem. Dave, what do you think about this? Let's let the guest weigh in.
What sub-factions cross over really well into other factions? I've seen some Chaos stuff where, because of with the marks, where it will affect all corn and stuff like that. Chaos has always done that. But there's a counterbalance to that because a lot of the new stuff that's coming out, especially the order stuff, says do D6 mortal wounds. Unless you're Chaos, then do 2D6. So Chaos is getting kicked in the ding-ding quite often lately, just by anything from order getting to do double the damage just because you're Chaos. So I think there's a balance there. I mean, I don't want to pick sides here, but I was kind of thinking along the same lines where it's why should a Fyreslayer rule carry over into any other? Why should that synergy carry over to any other faction? They're not Fyreslayers. Why would that Fyreslayer thing carry to anybody else? And that's the thing that keeps you from just picking off the guy, the best cannon from this faction and the best elite fighter from this faction and the best flyer from this faction, is the fact that you want those synergies. You'd point out high elves. If you want a really well-balanced firing on all cylinders army, then just play pure high elves, because they do that. And you don't need to pull in other factions then if that's kind of what you're looking to do. If you do want to mix and match, though, it keeps it. I think it keeps you from doing that thing that everybody worried about when they first saw that you could take a Grand Alliance. I mean, a lot of people in the initial these early tournaments, you're seeing people saying, okay, only 2 factions, because I don't want you taking 4 because you could break it. And I don't see anybody breaking anything because of that inability to sync all these synergies together too terribly easily. So I'm just asking which mini factions you see that really jive super well with a larger faction.
The ones that I see that generally jive the best, the mega factions, like in all the mini factions within them, those that do the best are Undeath by far is the best. You can mix and match everything in those 2 armies with almost no problems. All the command abilities, all the spells generally target things from both armies.
Okay, I'll give you that, although...
I still think you're overplaying that. Not to interrupt. As somebody who's played a fair amount of Death, you're overplaying that. There's plenty of that going on. Tomb Kings on Chariots, Tomb Kings on Royal War Sphinxes. A lot of the Tomb King stuff is very specific in what it is.
It is. But there's also a lot of stuff that's cross faction. Like, it's cross...
Yes, there is some.
Now, I'll say this: I played VC for the last 4 years, and when I got when I had the option to play the Death faction, and I went to the last few tournaments, I took this. I'll tell you what my Death faction was, because here's my mixed up VC and Tomb King's army. I took my VC army, and I put a casket in it.
Sure.
That's it. I mean, that's literally it, because my VC army is pretty solid on its own. It really did raise up the Tomb Kings. It didn't. Tomb Kings, it made the Tomb Kings better. It didn't really. I mean, the addition of the Tomb Kings didn't do a ton for the VC. It gave them some shooting, which is great. But really, I mean, I just added a casket, and I was pretty solid right there. That's all I really, getting that little boost to my magic was pretty solid right there. And those 2 factions were so similar to begin with. I think that's one exception. But I think a lot of the other things, I'm not seeing too many little sub-factions jump in, and I mean, I don't want to argue with you or say you're dead wrong, but outside of the Death faction, I don't see too many of them really just I haven't seen any mini Okay, Archaon, he can turn anything Chaos really pretty good, but then again, if you're playing Archaon, that's what he does. I mean,
right, you're already playing Archaon. You knew what this was. You knew what this was when you sat down.
Sure. But what I'm saying is that, like, grab any order subfaction or destruction subfaction, and none of them are going to do that. Like, you're not going to get...
Like, again, I think you have a problem with, 5 leaders in Death here. Like, that's really what we're talking about. And we were talking about
all the caster stuff. All of the caster stuff in Death. Like, all of the, so the Corpse Cart, the Mortis Engine, the... what is it called?
Yeah,
the
I got it. It's there. Yeah. It exists. No one's questioning it. I just think it's fine. We've banged on enough about this.
But I guess again, you've only got those 2 armies, so it's like if you were combining, you literally only have those 2 choices. If you're combining in Death, everybody knows what you're combining. It's not like Order where you have 6 different armies to choose from, or Chaos where you have 5 different armies to choose from. You've only got these 2, and they should synergize in some way. There's only 2 of them. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
they're the same thing.
No, and I agree, but like then look at destruction as a counter to that. There's two factions there. There's Orc and Goblin and Ogre. And if you just look at the Orc and Goblin book, none of the sub-factions synergize with each other. Greenskin, nothing in any of the Greenskin generals or casters can influence any of the Night Goblins. None of the Night Goblins can influence any of the Forest Goblins or any of the normal Goblins. They all have different keywords, and they're all doing different things. A couple of the named characters can do... A couple of the named Orcs can cross the Orc factions. But there's no reason to ever field Orc and Goblin, let alone pull in Ogres at all. All the Ogre stuff is only Ogre keyword.
Other than the fact that the Ogres are brutal monsters who absolutely just destroy anything they touch, which is a pretty good reason to bring Ogres in.
You got some cheap goblins that can do a little shooting. I mean, there are things, they might not synergize as well, but they could still work together. And the Orc and Goblin book was always like that. I mean, when the Orc and Goblin book was still the Orc and Goblin book in 8th ed, I mean, a lot of that, I mean, you take them together, but, I mean, you had Orc magic and Goblin magic, and it was never always, I mean, they were a bit split. I mean, not as split as they are now. And I'm hoping that maybe when they get the Grand Alliance book Destruction, that maybe they will, you know, I mean, they've tweaked these other things. Hopefully they'll tweak them a little bit.
Yep.
No, and I agree. But and so all my challenge is that some factions, large like Grand Alliances, and the sub factions work better with one another than others do, and that's my challenge. Is just to say, like, I wish that everybody either was working together, or
I don't, and I gotta agree with William Page, who posted up a thing where he said that this is like that issue is one of the things destroying 40K, because what you do get is the cherry pick.
Okay.
Like now, I'll if you want to say knock out the knock off all that death synergy, I'm good with that too. I'd be totally fine with it. Like I love dudes that are hyper focused.
Right.
You know, I think it makes for building neater aligned forces. So I got no issue with that.
So that's my.
You're ugly.
That's my
the
bad.
longest bad. And by the way, I want to know what you all think out there. Post down below. What do you think about this? The great ghettoization debate that's been raging in Tom's mind.
We really jumped the house there.
Yeah, because no, it's okay. Because here's the deal: is that my ugly then is that I feel like I have like one of two decisions I can make. I can now field a faction to have a balanced force, like, you know, have a really good shooting and really good which is like the elf and the dwarf and the human force. But the aesthetic is going to be off because you're going to have a bunch of different aesthetics on the table. Especially if you're painting them to stock. Like if I paint fire dwarfs to fire, and I paint, you know, like if I follow the different paint schemes of dark elves and stuff like that, then it's just going to look like this weird mishmash of like a not unified army. Okay. Or I can go like pay a Fyreslayer army, but then I'm going to have holes in my army. I'm not going to have any good range. I'm not going to have da-da-da-da-da. And so I feel like that's like the ugly is going to be the conundrum, and then the armies that I think we're inevitably going to see, which are a bunch of mishmash of aesthetics that either are going to get painted similar, but the actual like models and shapes and like the softness, you know, and the hardness of the armies are going to be all mixed up. Like visually, they're going to be not looking good together, or you're going to be in this weird situation of like having a hyper-focused army with holes in your actual gameplay.
Gotcha. All right, fair enough. All right, I'll do my good, bad, and ugly quick so we can get on to the last thing, which I really am keen to talk about. Good, the fact I got about, like, I think both of you made tremendously good points. The fact that we'll get more smaller releases, the fact that you can build on. And for me, it's the fact that I get to include the models that I want and love in my army. I get to be a model whore. Because that's what I am. Like, I was stuck on my Beastmen, didn't know where to go, realized that in this new world of chaos, I can build them however I want, and suddenly I was like, cool, I've got my base of some war herds down, time to go all monsters. Just because that's what Beastmen love. They love big monsters, let's bring them in. Do like some dragon ogres in there because that's a beastie. You know, like I want to do all the half-beast, half-man sort of stuff in that army, along with just big, giant, ripping monsters. And I love that idea of just the herd out there roaming, bunch of mutants just calling in monsters. And that's exciting to me. The bad, I feel like honestly could be, for me, is honestly I think there could be some paradox of choice. You might get you might get a bit overwhelmed on like what to include next, because you now suddenly do have so many choices and everything is pretty much equally good. Like you could feel regret because of all the things you can't buy, right? And you're like, it's a real thing. You're like, oh god, I want to add another unit, but I could use these, I could use these, I could use these, I could use this thing. You know, and that's like, there is a thing to that. It's great to have options, but it can also be a curse. So that's my only fear there. And ugly is ugly. I will say is, I think, Tom, that you may be onto something in that it presents a more interesting hobbying challenge to combine the forces. Now, here's what I'll also say. So last night I played a game of AOS with Jeff Egan and a couple of his buddies. We played a 2-on-2, and opposing me was an order force of dwarves, empire, and elves, high elves. Okay? Yep. And they had all been painted to their individual armies because they were all part of his armies like initially, but you know, he's prepping them for Holy Wars. And you know what? It was fine. Like when I saw them on the table, they were all painted to their individual stuff, but they're humans, elves, and dwarves. Like, yeah, one was like Slayers and one was, you know, Shadow Warriors, but they're not sitting next to each other often. They're running around doing their own thing. The Shadow Warriors are off in the woods. The Slayers are charging down a hill trying to kill, you know, monsters and stuff. And in the end, I was like, yeah, it actually made sense. So I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem. Like, to me, the army still looked pretty unified. It was a force of good guys. Now, maybe that's because it was humans, elves, and dwarves. And let's face it, we have enough stock in fantasy fiction to know that those three get together pretty often, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so like it could be that that's part of the issue. But in this case, it worked. So there you go. Scott R says, "What are you trying to say about my female elf force, Tom? They are awesome looking."
I got nothing.
And John Shelby says, "The good, a dwarf army that has a reason to move. The bad, they made more dwarves." I like you, John. John, you and I, simpatico. All right. All right. So let's move on to the last one. So Dave, as I said, I'm thrilled we got to have you on the show here. And kind of the last good, bad, and ugly is as I said at the top, everybody should really be listening to Garagehammer. It's just a fantastic show. You've been doing it for a long time, I know, and it's been a year of a lot of change for you on the show, not just because of AOS, but because of the host situation and all that. And so I thought maybe I just want to hear from kind of you what your maybe good and bad or good and challenges and that kind of thing of the year have been, you know, in doing your show. And I think that would be, you know, interesting to share probably with the audience.
Sure. Okay. You know, the good is I think I'd say that the good is just the fact that, I mean, this is the thing that keeps me connected to the community. I mean, I started off playing with Christopher and my son in my basement, and we did a podcast basically because we were three guys in a basement, you know, and we just wanted to sort of reach out and, you know, do a show from a point of view of some guys who don't do all those other things that the other podcasts were doing. And I guess we never realized that, you know, people were going to start listening, and then reached out to us, and now we were like are part of this bigger community. So that's kind of that's the good is just this idea that it really is a link to a much bigger community for me, even though I only go to like 2 or 3 tournaments a year and spend most of my time down here in the crypt.
You're a man after my own heart. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the bad over the past year. I mean, you know, I've you know, Chris Yu had to go this year. He basically he's gotten into Infinity. That's his new love, and you know, he was just, you know, and part of it is he didn't have time. I mean, he talked to me a long time, like basically when End Time started. You know, we were talking about him doing less shows or stopping doing the show, and it really kind of was. He was trying to see what happened with End Time to see if he was going to keep going or not, and then once he got a demo of Infinity, that sort of pushed him that way, and so it's always hard to find a new co-host, and I'm still sort of in the weird sort of kind of half looking, kind of just bringing in people. It's kind of fun doing it this way, and then having the whole game change, and it's been a weird 6-7 months. It's been a time of transition. I mean, there's times when you're doing the show when you don't know if people are still listening. So it's been a little rough, but like I said, I mean, I've gotten to the point now where, and maybe this is down to the ugly here, and the ugly is, and it took me. I mean, I've been doing the show almost 6 years now. And it's taken me up until the past, say, 3 months to get to the point where I'm doing the show I want to do. And that's all I can do. And I finally realized that that's what I kind of have to do. I'm just doing what I think makes a good show. I'm doing the thing that interests me. I'm covering what interests me, and I've stopped trying to be everything for everybody. And I guess that's sort of the ugliest. You at one point you realize you can't be everything for everyone, so you just kind of do. I can only please me. And if I put out the best show I can and do the best show that I think I can put out, hopefully people still listen. That's and especially the past 3-4 weeks. I've been hearing from a lot of new listeners and new groups that are starting to spring up with the game. And after a few months of not being certain if there was going to be any listeners or players, seeing the way that the tournament scene and the tournament community, which is the community who is listening to all the podcasts and are active on the forums and on the internet, and they're not the basement gamers who might tune in and listen but aren't there that you hear them.
Right.
You see one thing there, and now I'm hearing from all these other people, and it's really great. It's coming to that realization that you just kind of got to do for you, even though I am trying to put out a show that everyone will like. Ultimately, I'm doing a show. It sounds weird and may sound. I don't know if that sounds. I know you guys get what I'm saying.
Absolutely. No, here's what I'll say. I think that, and it's certainly been the line that we followed. All we've tried to do is share the passion that we have for this, whether that's in the way that we like to play and the things we enjoy about it. And I think when that's what you're doing, when you're just sharing what you're having fun with, if you keep doing that, that passion's infectious, right? In the best possible way. That's the happy disease that Grandfather Nurgle spreads, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's really true. And I think that my impression of it now is that we're in actually, and maybe this will be even more true in a couple months, but I think we're starting to really tip there. I think we're in a better place now, or will be very soon, than we were even before the end of 8th edition in Toto. Because I think there's games out there, and a lot of people are trying new games and finding games that is their passion, right? Not just sort of playing the one game that's there because it's kind of the one game that's there.
It's not the legacy. They're not playing just the legacy game anymore.
Right, exactly. And I think, to me, that's awesome because I freaking love, seriously, that game I played last night of AOS with Jeff, I get to play about once a week, and we alternate at my place between Malifaux and AOS. Okay, so we do a Malifaux weekend and AOS weekend.
So you alternate between good game and good game. That's
yes.
Wise choice. Wise choice.
Exactly, and I love both those games, and they're different games, and whatever. I get different things out of both of them, and I have a ton of fun, but I don't get to often play with different people, right? Because again, like you said, I don't go to a lot of tournaments. I'm lucky enough to have a good group of friends who want to show up and play every weekend, which is awesome. But it means I don't get to play with a lot of other people very often. And so to step out and play with some new people and have a good time, we just rolled up, and they were put together 10. We're going to use ClashCon for this since that's what Holy Wars is used, and that's what we kind of want to practice for. Can you get 10 pools of Empire out of this stuff that we have available for you? And I was like, yeah, sure. And it took me like 5 minutes. I threw down, and we had an awesome game. I mean, it was fun until the last round. It was ridiculously good. We're joking, we're laughing the whole time. I mean, it's like that's everything you want in a game. And I just like that is what makes me want to keep showing up, keep doing this, keep sharing that enthusiasm with people. I think you got to do it for you. And if you keep doing it for you and share it in that way, yeah, people will react.
Yep.
And I think, like, to me recently, and I'm going to get your take on this as well, Dave. I think recently on Twitter, it's really been picking up with, like, I'm seeing a lot of, like, and this is true on the Facebook group too. Hey, I just got into AOS. I'm starting this army. What should I get here? I just got a new army. I played a couple games. I really loved it. What should I add to my force? The number of times I've seen that post or that tweet in the last couple months has been crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it took a little while, too, I think. We all had to sort of, everyone sort of, after the initial weird, everybody trying to make everybody go in their direction.
The shock, yeah.
Everybody, yeah. Now everyone's sort of gone their direction. I think there's a lot of cool things that happen. I'm seeing a lot of that, like you said, the new people joining. Everybody's sort of got their own little pages now in their own areas. There's Age of Sigmar places on Facebook and stuff like that. I think the people who, I think the other thing is that the people who are all following each other now, I think a lot of people have, I know I've called through some of the people, they're doing the games that I don't follow or don't care about anymore. I don't follow them anymore. I think, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing personal.
Right.
You're talking about something that doesn't interest me anymore. Honestly, I think one of the best things that came out of this is that the people who were just playing it, like you said, because all their friends were playing it and they've been playing it forever and they were hating it.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about. There's a group out there.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like the tide was just sort of taking them along, right? There was no real enthusiasm. It was just like, well, this is here.
I hate 8th edition. This game hasn't been good in 10 years. I'm playing it just because all of my friends play it and I hate it. And then this came out and all of them were like, that's it, we're done. And they left. And I still see them on social media playing games that they love. And that weird, crazy anger is just gone. Like,
yep.
I see them just, there's no more of this weird, I'm angry at the world because I hate my hobby. It's like you found a hobby you like, and good for you. I'm glad, because I was kind of sick of listening to you every weekend saying how you're going to a tournament playing a game you hate, because...
Yeah, exactly. Find a game you love. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
And I'm not saying I'm glad you left this game.
Well, I don't know. I'm glad some of them left.
Well, but I'm glad you found a game you like and now you're happy with it. That's.
Yep.
I had to call. I called my Twitter. I called my podcasts. I called down to the games I like, and you're seeing these groups, and now there's a lot of positive things going through, and I'm feeling good about it. I'm having a good time. And nobody has to apologize anymore. In fact, that's the last few episodes. There was a couple episodes. I brought in some friends who had just come back. They had just started 8th Ed, and they when 8th Ed first started, they were playing, and they just didn't like it. They couldn't get around it. They tried a couple different armies, and they stopped playing about 6 months into 8th edition. And they came into Age of Sigmar, and they were carrying no other game baggage. They were loving it. And when I was editing the show, one of the things I was focusing on was making sure, and that's one of the things we're trying to do in the show now is, you always reference older editions. I think we've talked about 8th editions for 2 years. We mentioned, well, in 7th, we did that for 2 years. Heck, people still mention it now. Do you know
how often I've referenced 5th edition in the past couple days? Yeah, absolutely.
And you still do that, but not in a weird negative way or in a I'm trying to convince people who are listening to Garagehammer at this point. They're listening because one of two reasons: either they like AOS. I don't need to convince them it's good. Mm-hmm. They're kind of on the fence. I've had a few emails saying, I'm not really playing it, but I still want to keep up with the fluff. And once I think I'm waiting for that point where it's going to get me. And I know if anyone's going to report on the fluff and do stuff like that, it's your show. So those are the people who are listening. There's very few people. I've gotten a few emails from people who say, they really hate AOS, but they just enjoy the show and they're still listening anyway. And those people, I appreciate them listening, but I'm not going to sit and spend half the show trying to convince them. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Right.
I'm done doing that. And once I got that out of my system, and now it's getting to be fun again. It's just getting to be. There's no more of this. Really honest, it's a good game. You know, I don't feel that need.
There's no apologetics.
Exactly. Now it's just we're talking about what's going on. In fact, the next episode is supposed to be up today, and it's late, and it's going to be late because me and Daniel are finalizing the new website. We should have the new website up this weekend and the new forums up this weekend. They're talking about shameless plugs. There's the website. They're talking about something people should go to. And once we get all that up, we'll have the new episode up. And my friend Chris Walker, yes, another Chris, came on, and we just sat and literally talked tactics, from picking out armies and deciding if you want to play with a comp to how to move your guys on the table. And it was just all tactics talk and how to play. Sigmar 101, literally. I mean, it was a great.
Love it. Love it.
Time. It was a fun, great time, and I feel like we finally, after 6 months, gotten to the point where we can talk about this game as this game, and not as this. Well, we're sorry that it's not that game, but it's still good, and it's like a relief, you know. Maybe that was part of the good, bad, and ugly section before, and I didn't realize it, but there you go.
There you go. I love it. You know what? That is the perfect note to end the show on right there, because I don't know what we could say beyond that. We will link to Garagehammer, of course. We'll have that down there. Look forward to the new show. My only lament that it's not up today is that when I fly, because, like, you know, I'm flying tomorrow, and Garagehammer has kept me company on many a long cross-country flight. I want you to know that.
Well, thank you. And I apologize that it's going to be late, but it was one of those things where if I dump it now, I figured we want to make sure that if I put it out now and then we try to change the website, if there's any issues, then it's going to be issues with people downloading it. So we want to make sure that the site works properly before we put up the next episode. So
makes total sense. It's all right. Don't worry. I got to travel again next week. So I'll have that one ready to go. I got a good long flight next week, too, so that's going to be perfect. I'll have that right in the kitty. So, David, thank you so much for coming on. As always, links will be below. Any closing thoughts there, sir, before we sign out?
No, thank you so much for having me on. This was really fun. I really do appreciate you guys having me on. This was great.
Hey, we loved it, and I really mean it. You are welcome back anytime. We would love to have you back on the show. Maybe we will even show your face, or at least put a picture of a little dwarf up next time.
Well,
so that way.
If I get the silly Xbox eyeball camera working, I tried to hook it up and it just didn't happen. If I can figure it out for next time, then you could scare all your viewers then.
No, it's okay. Many podcast people and many other guests we've had have done the same thing. And I think many people who watch this are going to be so used to the dulcet tones of your voice, they're going to be perfectly comfortable. It's all right.
The fact is, I got a face made for radio. So.
Well, we make them look at Vinny and myself every week. So.
And that is punishment enough, yeah. So I understand, exactly. Sometimes the light will catch my head. I get letters about how you blinded my child. It's really unfortunate. I'm sorry.
His Abbott haircut.
Yeah. Lack of.
Great googly moogly. All right.
All of you out there, thank you so much for watching. Dave, again, thanks. Tom, as always, an absolute pleasure. We hope you'll tune in again next week. We thank you for all the great questions, for all of you watching. As always, we will see you next Wednesday.